Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to another weekly analysis. Now on the screen are the 12 pairs we'll be analysing today, but before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also leave a like on the video if you're feeling generous. If you're new here, make sure you join me on my Telegram channel. I'll have a link to that in the description because I post a lot of different trading setups there throughout the week, and enjoy me missing out on that. And also check out my Instagram page. I'll leave the handle there. So we post a lot of different trading setups as well as different advice just to help you become a better trader. So make sure you go check all of that out. Links will be in the description. But like I said, we're going to have a weekly analysis. So let me stop talking and let's get into the video. First up, we've got Euro USD. Okay, so first up, we've got Euro USD here on the daily chart. And as you can see, this week we saw a really nice push to the downside. Last week I was talking about this area of consolidation here on the daily chart, saying we've got consolidation here, looking for a break to the downside, but there's a chance we could break to the upside. And as you can see, we did in fact break to the downside. So we saw a really nice break to the downside. Price was looking very bearish, breaking through a key level of price support here in the market. As you can see here, really strong support there, nice push to the upside, support there again, third time there with that wick, and then eventually we fell to the downside, breaking through that area. And then as you can see, we tapped into this very strong area of support here. As you can see, the market came out, found support in this market, in this level, and saw a really nice push to the upside. So a lot of momentum coming from that level. As you can see, this week we tapped into that area, and our price got a really strong reaction to the upside there. So we're looking very bullish as on the hourly chart from that big push to the upside, very impulsive, but bias is still to the downside for this pair. As you can see, we're getting very nice bearish trend here on the daily. We are coming back into this previous area of support, now term resistance, so we might in fact see a bearish reaction around here and see price drop again to the downside, creating some new lows, because from a weekly point of view we're still expecting further push to the downside. There is a case that we might break above that support there and come and test this area here, which is kind of like the resistance that provided us the move to the downside. As you can see, price broke to the downside, tested this area here in the market. If I zoom in, tested this area in the market, and that's where we got the nice bearish movement to the downside, breaking through this support here in the market and got us a nice move to that area. So there's a possibility you might come up, break through that area a little bit, tap into that area, and then see a really nice strong move to the downside, just continuing this bearish trend. And as you can see from a weekly point of view here in the market, we did see a very strong bearish candle, but pulled back up and got rejected a little bit. So we'll probably be expecting to see next week candle go and fill this wick to the downside and just keep on that bearish momentum to the downside, because we do have this key level here, which is 1.19 key area of previous weekly resistance. As you can see here, tapped into this area numerous times. Price eventually broke to the upside. Now we could be looking at a retest of support, a retest of that level or prior resistance as support from a weekly perspective. So probably going to be expecting next week to go and fill that wick to the downside and see price eventually come and tap into that level around 1.19. So from a weekly point of view and a daily point of view, expecting moves to the upside. But first, like I said, we might see a price movement to the upside first, come and really tap this level, or might see price do a bit of a false breakout, tap into this area where we saw the momentum come from, and then see the drop to the downside. But bias is still to the downside for USD as long as we stay under this previous swing high. If we break above that, we're probably looking very bullish at that point for USD, and a break of some key levels, and that'll probably take us back to the highs all the way up there for USD. But again, as long as we stay underneath this level here, we're looking for shorts and expecting USD to continue to the downside for this pair. Next, we're going to take a look at USD JPY. Okay, so for USD JPY this week, we saw further continuation to the upside. Last week we did see a really nice push to the upside, a lot of bullish momentum. As you can see, that did continue. I did say price is probably going to come and test this area of the market, previous resistance there, saw a really nice push to the downside, and then eventually create some new lows. So as you can see, we're currently testing that area again now as resistance. So I'm expecting to see some retracement here for USD JPY come to test that area, and seeing potentially a move to come and test this level here. Prior resistance there will be turning support. We do have a little bit of a minor level here, that's doji here, which will be acting as support. As you can see, we did get a nice push to the upside from that level, so could be seeing price come to test that area there. But if we do see a break, we're probably going to be expecting price to come all the way test this previous resistance now as support, then probably see price continue to the upside for USD JPY, because we have, remember, we have broken out of that trend line that has kept us in a very choppy bearish trend here for quite a while. So as you can see, we're finally broken out of that very strong impulsive movement to the upside there. could be seeing some retracement now from that move. And then if we do hold this level here in the market, could be seeing another leg to the upside, creating some new highs, and finally start to see a reversal for USD after this long bearish trend to the downside that we've had for numerous months now. So again, we're coming to this very strong here of resistance. Going to be expecting to see some retrace here after consecutively 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullish candles. Expecting to see a drop to the downside for USD and could be seeing a move all the way to this key level there of prior resistance turning support. And next we've got USD CAD. Okay, so for USD CAD this week, we did see price continue to consolidate there on the 4-hourly and daily charts. We are making lower highs there a little bit on the 4-hourly chart. You can see with this trend line here in the market making some lower highs. So price is looking like it is turning a little bit bearish here for USD CAD because of those lower highs. We haven't really created some new lows because, as you can see here on the daily chart, this area of previous resistance turned support is in fact still holding. We haven't really broke through that area. I said as long as we hold this level here, probably expect to see a move to the upside to come and test this area here. This is kind of like our last major swing high there, create some new lows. So probably can expect to see price come and test this level here as resistance again, or maybe you see price break through it and go much higher. So for USD CAD, my bias is still to the upside for this pair unless we get underneath this level here of prior daily resistance turn support, because we still haven't broken through that level yet. As long as we hold, can be expecting further movement to the upside, and this is just consolidation just before we see a nice impulsive move to the upside come to test the area there in the market. However, if we get below it on the 4-hourly chart, we'll probably be expecting to see a move into this support here. Again, really nice area of support where we saw the market find support here and saw a really strong move to the upside, creating some new highs, breaking through that key level of resistance there. So break through that level, we're going to be expecting price to eventually come here, and at that point might even see price come back to the lows again and start to see a bearish USD CAD. However, if we do hold this level, we could be seeing further movement to the upside and start to see a bit of the counter trend move to the upside for this pair and tap into this level of resistance, or again even higher, because we do have the possibility of breaking through that level. So biases to the upside as long as we still hold that key level of support, expecting to see a move into this resistance. Up next is Euro GBP. Okay, so for Euro GBP this week, we saw price kind of continue in this kind of corrective, very choppy downtrend to the downside here. I was expecting to see price break to the upside and look for a bit of a retrace after this long bearish move to the downside. As you can see, we saw another push to the downside, and that came from the GBP news that came out this week. And as you can see, we had a really strong push to the downside. So we are looking very bearish here, and we did see that breakout on the monthly time frame here. As you can see, we did break out of this moving sideways, this consolidation broke to the downside with that close there on the last month. As you can see, this month currently is looking quite bearish, so can be expecting price to continue to the downside, because I am expecting price to be bearish here for UGP long term, and probably eventually come to go and test 0.87, which is that support all the way down here. So there's a possibility we could continue to trickle to come and test this level here before we start to see any major pushes back to the upside again, because we do have now a strong area of resistance just above us here. If I jump to the 4-hourly chart, again, strong area of resistance around here, which could send price back to the downside here. So for UGP, you're probably expecting to see some retracement after this very strong movement to the downside, maybe to come and test this level again as resistance, and probably expecting price to continue to the downside, come and test 0.87, and from there probably see a larger move to the upside, where you can probably expect to see price come back and retest this key level of support here in the market. As you can see, support all throughout this level here will be term resistance, so could be seeing a test of 0.87 and then price coming back to come and test that level again as resistance. But right now, from a 4-hourly perspective, we did see a very strong move to the downside, so expect to see market come up again, retrace, maybe tap into this level of resistance, and then probably fall back to the downside again. If you do break through this area, probably see price come and test at 0.89, which is the key level of support I was just talking about on the last time frame there. So if you do break through that, could be expecting to move into that area, but nonetheless, my probably bias is still to the downside here for your GBP until we reach 0.87, which is that real key level of support there on the higher time frames. Okay, so up next we've got AUD USD. Okay, so up next we've got AUD USD. So for this chart, we did see a nice move to the downside. I did say last week, since we broke through this area of support, as you can see, we did close below it. We saw a really nice push to the downside. We came into this area here, which we did see a lot of momentum come from earlier. As you can see, when we last were at this level, price found that support and saw a really strong move to the upside. So as you can see, we tapped into that level and saw a nice push to the upside there again for AUD as well. So again, looking a little bit bullish here for AUD, but since we are creating this bearish pattern here, as you can see, we are creating some lower lows and some lower highs there in the market as well. And after this big push to the downside, you were expecting to see some retracement. So again, still treating this bullish movement here as retracement. We do have a key level of prior resistance here. Did act as support there as well here on the daily, but now is acting as resistance. So probably going to be expecting to see a move to the downside for AUD as long as we respect this area of prior support and resistance. Now acting as resistance here again. So could be seeing a nice push to the downside again for this pair, back to the same low that we met before, where we saw a really strong push to the upside, or even further come and test this key level of support here. As you can see, really nice support, tested it a couple of times before seeing price take off to the upside. So could be seeing price hold here as resistance, and then see price slowly roll over to the downside for this pair. But if you do take out this trend line here on the daily chart, which is probably what's keeping us in that downtrend, creating those lower highs and those lower lows. If you do take out this trend line, price could look a lot different and probably actually become bullish again, and actually just see this overall uptrend just continue here in the market. Take out that trend line there, hold above it, could be seeing price coming right back to the highs here for AUD, or even further, and just continue the uptrend and create some high highs there in the market. But for me, as long as we stay underneath that trend line, respect this area of resistance here, could be seeing a nice move back to the downside here for AUD. But if you get above it and hold, could be seeing price coming back to the highs again for this pair. Now let's take a look at NZD CAD. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at NZD CAD, and as you can see for NZD CAD here, not too much happened in terms of direction this week. As you can see, we're kind of just moving sideways right now for NZD CAD here on the daily. But the important thing is we did hold this previous area of resistance, this key level in the market here. So I can see really nice resistance there here on the daily. Strong push to the downside, was acting as support here and there. Now push the downside back up again, now is acting as support. And as you can see on Friday, we saw a strong move into this area. So if I jump to the 4 hourly, we saw a strong move into this area, acting as support, and price got heavily rejected back to the upside. So price is holding that area of prior resistance now turned support. And I actually do think NZD CAD could potentially be coming back to the highs again for this pair, because we are holding this key level. I did say last week, if we hold this level, probably expect price to come back to the highs. If we get below it, probably expect to see a downtrend now in the market, because again, that will probably be a lower high for us now, so we can be expecting a lower low and potentially price coming back to come and test this key level of support, which saw this really nice move to the upside. So if you do get back below that, could be expecting to see a move into this level here, or at least potentially back to test that support. But as you can see, we are still holding above it, and if you do remain holding above this level and it acts as a strong support, could be seeing price having another push to the upside back to the highs there, maybe give us a double top and then see the drop to the downside and start to retrace this bullish movement here for NZD CAD. But right now we are holding on to that support. It's looking like price is turning a little bit bullish here on the 4 hourly after that very strong move here towards the end of the week. Price held, nice push to the upside, bullish engulfing candle. Could be seeing that momentum take us back to these highs here, or maybe even back to the daily highs there in the market. So again, as long as we hold that level, probably expecting price to come and test its highs. If you get below it, expecting a move at least to this level here, or potentially come and test this key support all the way down there. Next up, we've got GBP NZD. Okay, so for GBP NZD this week, again, not too much happened apart from the news for GBP. As you can see, we did shoot to the upside there on Thursday. Price, however, is still in this consolidation here. As you can see, we've got the resistance up there, and we've got the support down there, and price hasn't really closed above this area yet. Price is still consolidating, a bit of a false breakout there, but the news took us back in, and also had a bit of resistance, a bit of a false breakout of the resistance there, but price by the end of the day closed back inside that consolidation. So far, again, for this week, again, we're still consolidating. I did say if it breaks the upside, we could be seeing price coming back to test this area here around 1.18 1.94, really key area of support all across there, term resistance, and from that resistance we saw all the move down to the downside to go and test 1.85 almost. So a very strong area of support and resistance. A break to that consolidation, could be seeing quite an impulsive move to come and test that that level there, 1.94 potentially. Break to the downside, probably going to be seeing price coming back to test this level here, which is where we had the double bottom here, tested it once, bit of a wick to the downside, tested it again, price rejected, and saw a really nice move to the, back to the upside. So we do have targets to either side. Could be breaking to the upside, coming back to 1.94, break to the downside, maybe back to 1.86. Jump in the 4-hourly chart, again, as you can see, a really big push to the upside, and then a few wicks to the upside there as well, false breaking, and then we saw that big close, big strong close to the downside there with that bearish candle. So that momentum might take us back down to the lows again, back down to come and test this support, but again, we could easily get rejected again and see another swing back to the upside at that point, because again, we're still just moving sideways for this pair. So need to wait for a nice strong break, a nice strong close above the resistance or above the support, and that will probably give us the direction for GPNZD, either coming back to this support here where we had the double bottom, or coming back to this key level of support and resistance. And until we find out, we'll probably assume that GPNZD will continue to consolidate with that resistance above it and that support just below it. Next, we're going to move on to CAD JPY. Okay, so for CAD JPY this week, we did see price eventually break out of this consolidation here. As you can see, this consolidation box that I drew last week, and as you can see, we had a close above that area on Wednesday. We did have that doji, but again, that wasn't really convincing. And then Thursday we had a strong close, and Friday kind of took off to the upside. So we're looking bullish here for CAD JPY. Could be seeing price maybe coming all the way up to 83.000 before we start to see any retrace for this pair, or any strong retrace anyway. There's a possibility we could come back and retest this area of prior resistance, now turn support, and then see the move to the upside to go and test 83, because right now CAD JPY is looking very bullish, and it is looking like we're having a breakout of this consolidation. So could be seeing price coming back to this area here. As you can see, if we look all the way to the left here, we did see a breakout of this resistance, and now price is looking very bullish here. So could be seeing CAD JPY coming to 83 here. Do you have a key level of resistance along here? Here on the daily, so see price tap into that area there, then might see price come back and test this level here of prior resistance turn support. So expecting to see CAD JPY continue to the upside, maybe go and test 83 and see price retrace and come back and test this previous area here of resistance now as support, or we might see the opposite and might see price retrace here first and then go and continue to the upside to go and test 83. But either way, I'm expecting to see CAD JPY continue to the upside for next week. Up next is GBP USD. Okay, so for GBP USD this week, we saw price continue to consolidate a little bit and eventually break to the downside. So if I jump to the 4-hourly chart, see the price action a little bit clearer. So again, we've got a clear level of resistance up here, clear level of support across here. Price was holding on to that area, eventually broke to the downside. As you can see with the GBP news, we saw price kind of just rocket back to the upside, back above that level, retest it as support, and now price is coming back to test that resistance there. So for GBP/USD, we are starting to look a little bit bullish again here, breaking back into that area of consolidation and seeing price coming back to retest the resistance there. Here all the way at the highs there for the daily chart. So could be seeing price actually break to the upside here for gold, coming to test 1.83, potentially see another push to the upside for this pair. Again, if we do hold this level here as support, could be seeing price maybe coming back down to retest that as support and then see price continue to the upside here, because we are testing a really strong area of resistance. As you can see, it fell to break and eventually saw price create some new lows there just below that support. So could be seeing maybe a swing to the downside for GBP/USD, coming back to test this area here, this area of support again, and maybe see price swing back to the upside after this false breakout and actually see a breakout to the upside potentially for this pair. However, if you do get back below this support, it probably means that we're going to see a further retracement for this pair and see price either tap into this level here or maybe even this support all the way down there. And as you can start to see a bit of retracement here for GBP/USD, as you can see on the daily, we'll be moving to the upside very correctively, and we could be starting to see a bigger retrace happening soon. but as you can see, the price action here is not showing that the retracing is happening just yet. We were looking quite bearish there at one point, but as you can see, the news took us to the upside, and now we're all the way back testing the previous highs in the market there. So could be seeing a reaction from that area next week. Again, really strong area of resistance back into this level here. If we do hold that support, I'm probably expecting price to see another push to the upside back to this level of resistance, and potentially a break to the upside, and finally see price break out this consolidation properly and see price create some new highs here for GBP/USD. But again, if you do get below that support, then we can start to see maybe these levels getting tested for next week for GBP/USD. And next we're going to see what's happening with GBP CAD. Okay, so for GBP CAD this week, we saw a bit of retracement to the downside as expected. I did say GBP CAD was probably going to retrace this week and see further continuation to the upside if we hold that support. And as you can see, we had a really nice wick to the downside. Price went and tapped into this area here of prior resistance, turned support, and then we saw that GP news take it higher and actually close bullish above that support. So expecting to see further continuation to the upside for this pair, as long as we hold this area as support and see maybe even a push to 1.77, which is a key level of a resistance here on the weekly. If you can see, if I jump to the weekly here and I highlight all this area here of all these wicks, as you can see, we're around 1.77, so we could be seeing a move into that level there from a weekly perspective. And of course, as you can see from a week point of view, so a wick to the downside, retest that, could be seeing next week actually be bullish and tap into 1.77 potentially. So looking to see if GBP can continue to the upside, again, as long as we stay above that support, because this is the strong area, strong resistance that saw the market reject numerous times. Now is holding that support, so this level could be the one to take us into some new highs for GBP CAD and see a push all the way up to 1.77 potentially. And up next, we're going to take a look at gold. Okay, so for gold this week, we saw a really nice push to the downside. Price eventually broke out this consolidation to the downside and saw a really nice push all the way to the lows here. Come test this support here in the market, where we did see price fan support and see a really nice push to the upside all the way back to the highs there for gold. So now we've tapped back into that area. We've seen a little bit of a bullish reaction, as you can see on the Friday chart. A nice push to the upside, bit of retrace, and price continuing to the upside. So could be seeing price come to retest this area here of prior support term resistance. So this key level of support there might tap into that area, then fall back to the downside, get above that area. Could see maybe price coming back to test this resistance here, which is where we tapped some resistance there, broke above it, we tapped that resistance. So could be seeing price come to that level, but my bias is still to the downside here for gold. So expect to see a push to the upside to come test that as resistance and see further movement to the downside. And you can even see on the weekly, we are still looking very bearish here as well. So we did see a bearish week this week as well. I'm expecting to see another bearish week next week, and a move to come and test, really come and test this support here and actually form a new low possibly for gold, since we do have this bearish trend here in the market. As you can see, we do have this trend line keeping us in that trend. Initially a test there, second, third with the big wick to the upside, having a bit of a false breakout, testing that resistance there again. Another test there again this week, and we saw a really nice push to the downside for gold. So expecting to see another bearish push to the downside, really testing that support or even giving us some new lows for gold. So could be seeing a little bit more retrace to start the week off. I do think the bigger move is still to the downside for this pair, and it could be coming from this price support turning resistance. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. Okay, so for Bitcoin this week, we saw price kind of continue to the upside. I did say price respects this trend line here, so probably going to be expecting to see another push to the downside for this pair back into this support here in the market, since we did see that nice false breakout to the upside for Bitcoin. But as you can see, we did get a strong close back above that trend line, and price just gathered some momentum and still looking bullish here. So we are taking out some key levels here of price support and resistance. So key support there, term resistance, price is back above it. I did say if we take out 36,000, we could be coming all the way back to 40,000 potentially and test this level here in the market. So we might be seeing Bitcoin continue a bit further to the upside, come and test 40,000, and then maybe see another drop to the downside, coming back to test that level and giving us another test of this price support and resistance, turning support there again. So probably going to be seeing further movement to the upside for Bitcoin back to 40,000, then maybe see a drop to the downside, or potentially see price come back to the highs there potentially and just wick and go and test that high before seeing another drop to the downside for this pair. But right now we're coming into that really strong area of resistance at 40,000 and could be seeing another drop to the downside back to 34,000 for Bitcoin next week. Okay, so that's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed it and found it useful. If you have any questions, agree, disagree with me, just put it down in the comments. I'll make sure I'll get back to you. But thanks again for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you guys later.